Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're laser focused on something pretty important, keeping your information safe when it, has to leave your organization's walls.
Exactly. And you, our listener, gave us some great material on this Laserfiche Watermarks and embedded annotations explained.
Right. So our mission really is to break down these methods Laserfiche offers. We're talking watermarks and those embedded annotations.
Yeah, we want to clarify how they work, what you can customize, and maybe help you figure out which one makes the most sense for protecting documents you export or print. Get a clear picture.
Okay, let's jump right in with watermarks then. They seem like that first visual check, right? A way to mark documents leaving the system.
That's a good way to put it. They act as a sort of visual identifier, maybe a light layer of security on things you download, email, or print out from Laserfiche. And what's neat is how Laserfiche gives you options depending on, if you're using the web client, the cloud version, or the good old Windows client.
The sources say you can add them during download or print from any of those. And it looks like there are three main ways to actually assign them. Let's start with optional watermarks. What's the gist there?
Okay. Optional watermarks. The key thing here is they're personal. Each user sets them up for themselves, and they only apply when that user exports or prints.
So, like my own personal stamp, can I have a few different ones?
Absolutely. You can create and save several different configurations. Maybe one says draft, another internal use only.
Okay.
But, and this is important, you only pick one to apply when you actually do the export or print. You can't stack your optional ones.
Gotcha. And these go on image pages, right? Not the original Word doc or whatever.
Correct. They're applied to the image representation, not the native electronic file itself.
So if I'm in the Windows client, how do I set one up for myself? Is it complicated?
Nah, pretty straightforward, actually. You've got two main ways. You can go into Tools and Options and set them up there ahead of time. Or, maybe even easier, you can often configure it right in the download or print dialog box when you're actually doing it, sort of just in time.
I like that, setting it up right when I need it. And that really drives home that it's my setting, doesn't affect anyone else.
Exactly.
The material uses confidential, plus that percent username token as an example. That seems smart.
It really is. Using tokens is powerful. You type them in manually, things like %date, %time, %date time, and Laserfiche swaps in the current info, adds real context. And in the Windows client, there's also this interesting option like apply when downloading and no other watermarks are present. Kind of like a personal default if nothing else applies.
Okay, cool. What about the web client or Laserfiche Cloud? Is setting up optional watermarks similar there? Still user-specific?
Yep, same principle. It's all tied to your user account. You go into your account settings or properties, find options, then download, and there'll be a spot for optional watermarks.
You can add new ones there.
Yeah, add, configure, save them to your profile. Just like the Windows client, these are yours alone.
And it mentions the same kind of tokens, username, date, time, but also %8A. That's the document's Laserfiche entry ID, right?
That's the one. Super handy for traceability, even after it's exported. You can quickly find the original doc back in Laserfiche using that ID.
Definitely see the use case there.
And again, just like the Windows client, when you go to download in the web cloud interface, the dialog box will let you pick from your saved optional watermarks.
So really flexible for individual needs.
Totally. It puts the control in the user's hands for their own exports. Okay. Should we move on to group watermarks? This sounds a bit more structured.
Yeah, it sounds more like a system level thing.
Yeah.
And the first point the docs make is crucial. You need the audit trail license for this feature.
Right. Good flag. Audit trail is what tracks all the actions, and it's necessary here because group watermarks are tied to, group membership and enforced automatically.
So explain that rule. How does it work?
It's pretty simple, actually. If you belong to a Laserfiche group and an admin has assigned a watermark to that group, then boom, that watermark automatically appears on anything you print or export.
No way to turn it off for yourself?
Nope. Not like optional watermarks. If the group has one, you get it. It's a policy thing.
Okay, so how does the admin set this up? Let's say in the Windows admin console.
Right, so the admin would open the admin console, find the specific group like finance or legal, go to its properties, and there's a watermarks tab.
And they just type in the text there?
Yep, type the text, add any tokens they want, click add, and that definition is now active for everyone in that group.
The material also mentions setting defaults through repository options for group members. What's that about?
Ah, yeah, that gives the admin more control over the appearance for exported docs from group members. In repository options under group watermark, you can set things like the location on the page. And you can even define different header or footer text that only shows up when someone views the image document inside the Laserfiche viewer itself, maybe more detailed internal notes.
Interesting. So different views for internal versus external. And what if the admin uses the web management screen? How are group watermarks handled there?
Similar idea, just a different interface. You need the right permissions, of course, manage repository configuration.
Naturally.
Then you'd go into the management or administration area, usually under general, and you'll find a group watermarks tab. Admins can pick groups and assign the watermark text there. Centralized control.
Makes sense for enforcing consistency, like across a whole department.
Hmm.
Okay, third type, tag watermarks. This sounds like it ties the watermark to the document's metadata, its tags.
Exactly right. With tag watermarks, the watermark is linked directly to a specific Laserfiche tag set up by an admin.
So the logic is, if a document gets tagged with, say, confidential, it automatically gets a confidential watermark on export.
Precisely. Or maybe a tag called Project Alpha gets a Project Alpha internal use watermark. When you export a doc with that tag, the linked watermark comes along automatically.
What if it has multiple tags, each with its own watermark?
Good question. The documentation says they all get applied. So you could potentially have several tag-based watermarks appearing on the exported document.
Okay, that's important to know. How does an admin set these up, say, in the web management interface?
They'd go to metadata, then tags, either create a new tag or open an existing one. Inside the tags properties, there's a dedicated watermark tab.
Oh, okay.
Just enter the text you want associated with that tag.
Mhm.
The example given was adding text to an info tag properties. So any doc with that tag gets the watermark on export. Simple as that.
And presumably there's a way in the Windows admin console too.
Yep, for those who prefer it, navigate to the tag definition in the admin console and you'll find the same watermark tab to configure the text there. Same result, different path.
Got it. So that covers the watermark options pretty well. Optional for users, script for policy, tag for metadata-driven marking.
Right. Now, let's switch gears slightly to embedded annotations. This sounds different, more permanent.
That's the feeling I got too. It seems these are baked into the document image itself, right when it's stored in Laserfiche.
Exactly. And the key way this happens, according to the docs, is using the Laserfiche snapshot printer. This is mostly a Windows client thing.
Okay, snapshot. That's the tool that lets you print things into Laserfiche as image files, usually TIFFs.
That's the one. You can print from almost any application, and Snapshot turns it into an image document inside Laserfiche. And during that printing process, you can choose to embed annotations.
So it happens at creation time via snapshot. You can't just add embedded annotations later to a doc already in the system.
Doesn't sound like it from this material. It seems tied specifically to the snapshot creation process.
How does a user actually turn this on and configure it?
Well, each user can set up their own snapshot preferences. There's usually a snapshot configuration current user tool, or you access it through the printer properties in Windows.
Okay.
Inside the printing preferences for the snapshot printer, there's a specific tab labeled Embed Annotation. That's where the magic happens.
And what can you control there? Just text or...
Looks like you get pretty detailed control. You can set up the annotation text, its appearance, position, and you can even tweak settings page by page if needed.
Wow, page by page.
Yeah, and there's a preview box, which is super helpful, so you see exactly how it's going to look before you print it into Laserfiche. Ensures it's placed just right permanently onto the image.
Okay. Now, the docs also mention setting watermarks in the snapshot preferences, but they make a point of saying it's different. How so?
Ah, right. That's a critical distinction. The watermarks you can add via Snapshot's printing preferences are image files only, like overlaying a company logo as a JPG, TIFF, or BMP onto the page.
And not text.
Correct. You cannot use the text-based watermarks we discussed earlier, optional, group, or tag through the Snapshot settings. Those apply during export or regular printing from Laserfiche itself.
Okay, that's clear. Snapshot watermarks are image overlays. Snapshot embedded annotations are permanent text markings baked into the TIFF.
You got it. Embedded annotations become part of the actual image file Snapshot creates.
Right. This has been super helpful. So just to wrap our heads around it, we've got the flexible watermarks, optional, group, tag mostly for temporary ID when documents leave the system via export or print.
Great for marking drafts, confidential status, who printed it, that sort of thing.
And then we have embedded annotations done via snapshot when creating image files for a permanent mark baked right into the document stored in Laserfiche.
That sums it up perfectly. And the big takeaway really is that you need to pick the right tool for the job. Consider your organization's policies, how sensitive the data is, your Laserfiche setup.
Yeah, and definitely whether you have that audit trail license, if group watermarks seem like the way to go.
Absolutely. It comes down to who needs to apply the mark, when it needs applying, and how permanent it needs to be. This material definitely lays out the toolkit clearly.
It does.
Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for you to ponder. How could using these features strategically really change how your organization handles information governance, or even just its day-to-day external communication?
That's a good question. And beyond these visual marks, what other security layers, maybe permissions, maybe redaction, maybe something else could complement them for even tighter control? Lots to think about there.